Welcome to the Oddity Shop, where the bizarre is always on sale.
Hey oddballs, welcome back. This is the Oddity Shop, where the door is always open for the odd, bizarre, creepy, weird, unusual.
Keep going. 3 more adjectives.
I can't. I'm Kara. This is my wonderful best friend,
Hello.
Zach. And
Hello, governor.
hello, governor. And yeah.
And this is a podcast. Welcome.
Thanks
for hanging out with us. We're sometimes shit shows.
Thanks for
sometimes
coming
together.
Yeah. But cool. So what things do you have for me? What do I have for you?
Ooh.
I have some stuff.
I got you a gift.
We are so okay. We talked about this a while ago. Well, you and I, not on the podcast, but we talked about this. We don't buy our significant others things because they just buy what they want, right? It's just like whatever. They don't really, not that they don't care, they don't appreciate it, but it's just like not like, it is so exciting when I buy you something or when you buy me something because we know we're going to appreciate and love it no matter what.
First of all, I know Nick would appreciate and love anything I got him, but we just like, we liked similar things.
What I'm saying is,
so a gift for you is a gift for me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Aaron would love anything that I would just buy him, but it's just, yes, it's not the same. When we buy each other things, it's because we want what we bought.
So anyways, I bought us each an EMF detector.
So excited.
Next time I see you, eventually, if it happens again.
Did they come?
Yeah, they came in the mail. I
Did
turned it on just to like play with it. The only thing that I'm kind of mad about is the LEDs were bright in daylight. Like it hurt my eyes when the lights were on. I'm like, oh, these are going to be distracting if we ever use them at night.
And then they're not?
I haven't tried it. It was bothering my eyes during the daylight. I can only imagine how bright.
That's crazy.
Well, I think it's because it's like an actual EMF detector, you know? Like you're supposed to use it for electronics, not for ghosties, but whatever. So yeah, I have that for you.
Yeah.
That's new and exciting.
So
we haven't talked about my Texas dinner experience. Okay, so when I was on the trip in Texas,
have we?
You know, because I texted you. But first of all, I went to go get ready for dinner. It was a very long day. I was frazzled. I remembered to grab my door key the second my door shut for my hotel. So I went down to the front desk and I walked up to this very nice lady named Shannon. I go, Shannon, I like to think I'm a very smart person. I remembered my door key, but I remembered it after the door closed. She's like, I'll get you another one. So she was telling me about how when she stayed there, she lost her own key, whatever.
Shannon.
So I come back down. I'm dressed for dinner now, not looking like a total bum in a very, very nice hotel. And Shannon's gone, but Kristen's there. I'm like, Kristen, I need dinner recommendations. So she tells me about this bar down the street, like chill, kind of divey bar, whatever. So I go there.
And we love dive bars.
I'm watching out of the peripheral of my eye a fight start to break out at this table. Kara, I know I told you this. This man, by the middle of the entire ordeal, had been shouting at the entire restaurant to shut the music off. This was his show now as he was walking up and down the restaurant. Jumps on a table, punches the host.
Wait, you actually didn't tell me all of this. I think you said that he was yelling at his nephew or something. He was getting
he beat the actual crap out of his nephew. They left. They came back in. He tries to fight his nephew again. I have to do the condensed version or this is going to be a 10-minute thing.
No, but what I was going to say is you only had texted me a brief description and sent me the video.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually don't know.
So at this point now he's jumping on the table 2 feet behind my back and I'm just like, I'll cash out. So he was blocking the doorway for like 10 minutes though, trying to say like, this is his show now, that nobody's asking him the questions that need to be asked, whatever. So
wait, what is happening?
He ran
like the doorway to get out.
So eventually after
this is unhinged. That's not okay.
After he punched the host and another patron, he went out front. So by the time I cashed out and walked out, he is shirtless in a 4-way intersection in downtown Austin, blocking all traffic. Mm-hmm. 3 cops walk up. He laid out a cop.
Yeah.
And next thing he is face down in the ground getting tased. It still took 3 cops to get this man in a police truck.
Okay, in your opinion, Clearly there's like some mental, but like
Shrooms. There was drugs.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say this has to be more than
drugs.
just being like drinking. Okay. Lord.
Yeah. So anyways, though, I get back to the hotel and I go, Kristen, you didn't tell me that dinner came with a free show. She's like,
Did you show her the video?
oh, well, before I did, she's like, you're like a different person than you were an hour ago. I'm like, I know, I'm glowing. Let me show you what happened at dinner. So I'm now showing her and Shannon and their buddy Cisco, and they're telling me all the hotel like
Cisco.
beef. Oh yeah, I got free drink tickets out of it. And then she hooked me up
cute.
for free drinks with her friend's bar across the street.
Cute.
Because she's like, go tell them I sent you. So like an hour later, I went over there and I'm like, hey, Kristen told me to come over. She's like, oh, are you Zach? Your drinks are on me tonight.
Oh, Kristen.
Yeah, Kristen was amazing. Kristen from the Omni in Austin, if you ever listen, appreciate you, girl.
Did you tell her? No.
I did tell her, and I also wrote a review and I named the bartender and all the staff.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Right?
So I have real quick. I knew that I might get screwed over on this purchase.
Uh-oh.
But it was such a good sentiment and it was supposedly going to a good cause. And I was like, I will take the risk for $20. So this sweatshirt, so it was $20. It was on sale. It was supposed to be like, 50% off or whatever. And it's a gray sweatshirt. And the front just says you are enough. And it was supposed to go to like a foundation for like anti-suicide. But the back says, dear person behind me, the world is a better place with you in it. Love the person in front of you. This is the trashiest fucking thing I've ever. It is falling apart.
First of all,
before I even watched it.
Let me say it. She's saying it's trashy because you guys can't see it. It looks like shit. But the message is great.
The message is amazing. So can Dad make me one on the Cricut?
Yeah, when he listens, he'll already be making it.
Dad, the message is amazing. I thought it was so perfect and it gives me chills when I saw it, but it is falling apart. I ordered a large purposely. What is this? This is like a
child's large.
I don't even know. I was so sad, and I knew I was going to get screwed over, but the message and what it was supposed to be going, as soon as I got the tracking and it was coming from the other side of the world, I was like, yeah. Okay, one really quick thing.
And then we're going to, I'll go first because we're going to talk too long this time.
I know.
On what you were talking about, I've started listening to a really, really great, super short podcast called Everything is Going to Be Okay. And it's just short, positive messages when you're feeling down or kind of like, in your feels or whatever. It's like uplifting, quick, and she's really cute. She's got a great story too. Make sure you listen to the first episode to get the story and check out the rest. Okay.
My quick shout out is for Deb.
Oh, Deb.
Because Deb has literally been listening to every episode and oh my God, I love her. And she's my neighbor and she's like, Mom. Like everywhere I go with her, she's literally telling random people that I have a podcast and like making people put it on their phone. And it's like embarrassing, but so cute. And I love it. All right.
Shout out, Deb.
What's
we
your
love
question?
You. All right.
We love you, Deb.
Are you ready? I was going to say, are you ready for a question? You beat me.
Sorry. Yes, I am.
And I should know the answer to this, but I can't remember if you have or haven't. Have you been camping? Like real tent camping?
Yes.
Okay. Second part then.
I don't know why you think.
You just don't strike me as a camping girl.
I don't understand.
What's like the weirdest or spookiest thing that's ever happened to you while camping?
I don't know. The only thing that I can think of, and this isn't even camping, but we would always set my tent up in the backyard and Kyle and I would just like be in the tent. I know it's not. I'm just saying it's in the tent. I know it's not camping. I've been camping, but my godfather lived next door and he would always, first off, I know the original story of the Tommy knockers is not what he told us, but he elaborated and made it like crazy. And actually Tommy knockers, I should do that. But anyway, he made it like crazy and he would tell my brother about the Tommy knockers and then he would like come and fuck with us. And like one time he had like a knife in the window. It's a thing.
Perfect. I always think about mine.
Well, yeah. What's yours?
I went camping by myself and I took an edible. So at like,
wait, when was this last year?
This was 2 years ago.
2 years. Yep.
And
you idiot.
When it's dark, it was a very empty campground. It was like, it was a not rustic. What's the state forest campground? There weren't a lot of people around me and I'm like laying in my hammock trying to sleep. And I thought I heard like chanting, like a coven chanting. And I
Yeah,
thought people were coming to get me. It turns out it was just the edible, and I was hearing their radio playing really silent or quietly.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this the next day, but I'm pretty sure that maybe they were chanting.
God only knows. But we are going to be talking about a group of hikers who died in one of the mysterious ways over 60 years ago. Do you know what it is yet?
No, do I?
We're going to be talking about the story of the Dyatlov Pass in Russia.
I don't know if I know this.
You don't?
You thought I was going to.
I
don't
thought for
think
sure
so.
you were going to. Okay. It's been heavily covered. I hope I'm going to do it justice.
Maybe I do, but I don't know.
It's really weird. So before we get into the weirdness, though, let's go background, right? It's February 1959.
I love when you say February.
I do say it really weird, I know.
Say it again.
February?
No. Say it like you would.
February? I don't know. I'm thinking too much about it now.
February.
So the story takes place in the Ural Mountains in Russia. So we've got 9 adventure seekers who are all affiliated with the Ural Polytechnical Institute.
Okay.
And they're going to get together to do a 200-mile skiing and hiking trek across the Siberian wilderness. Due to the time of the year, though, they wanted to go not over the mountains, but through a bunch of mountain passes. Obviously,
Okay.
dead of winter, Siberia, you can't go over the mountains, okay?
Mm.
So in total, we have 7 men, technically actually 8 men, 2 women. They're all either students or graduates of the Institute.
Okay.
And the entire experience was going to be sponsored by the sporting club there.
Wait, I think I might know this.
It's going to come to you. I feel like maybe a little bit more down the line.
Did Karen cover this?
I don't know, but I would not be shocked if she did.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason they're doing this, right, is they're like level 2, not hikers. I can't think of I didn't write down the exact, but like the highest level of like wilderness explorer in Russia is this level 3, and they're all level 2. Okay. So completing this trek, they would get their level 3 certification.
Okay.
8 of the 9 members are super experienced skiers. I guess 9 of the 10. There's one who drops out.
Oh.
So they shouldn't have had many issues with like the distance or the difficulty of the trek. The 10th one, he's added by the school at like the last minute. Now, everyone else is like in their early 20s. This guy's 38 years old, covered head to toe in tattoos. He's got like a gold tooth. He doesn't fit in with the rest. Okay. He was also a war veteran, and there was lots of parts of his file that were just like missing. So a lot of people were like, oh, KGB.
I do know that. Yeah, this is all starting to sound.
More on him later. But their goal was to reach Otorten, which is the name of a mountain, and then trek back. So as we're going to find out, they get really close, actually within about 6.5 miles of the endpoint. And like I said, upon completion, they would have gotten their level 3 hiking certificate, but they never make it home.
Mm-hmm.
So January 27th, I know I said February, there it was, natural one for you.
February.
They set out with their skis, their cold weather equipment, gear, food. They also had notebooks and cameras, and were really intent on like taking a lot of notes, a lot of documentation of their trip. Okay.
I'm starting to sweat.
So we haven't even talked about anything weird yet. Get over it. Or is it just because it's hot?
No.
Okay. So
but yes, it is hot.
we're gonna talk about, we're gonna give all the names, right? This is in Russia. I'm gonna do my very, very best.
Yeah, Russian.
We have Igor Dyatlov, who the pass is now named after.
It's not Igor?
Igor.
Edgar. Igor.
It's Igor. It's not Edgar. It's Igor.
Igor.
So he's 23 years old. He's the leader. He kind of planned the whole thing. We have Yuri. Already doing bad. Yuri Doroshenko, age 21.
Mm-hmm.
Ludmila Dubanina.
Ooh.
She is age 20. We've got another Yuri, but not Doroshenko. His name is Krivanashenko.
Okay.
Alexander Kolovetov. Zeneta Kolmogorova. Oh, sorry. Second Yuri is 23. Alexander's 24. Zeneta is 22.
I love all
Then we
this.
got Rustem Slobodin, which,
oh my God.
go look up a picture of this man.
Ooh.
Age 23.
I'm so sorry. This is bringing me back to a long time ago because one of my work IDs is Warnka. And
We all used to just say it in a Russian accent.
well,
Warnka.
Ray would always be like, okay, Warnka.
God, that just unlocked a memory. Okay.
Shout out, Ray.
Nikolai Bergnoles, 23.
Okay.
And then we got our boy Semyon Zolotaryov, age 38. This is our older vet, possible KGB man.
First off, 38, that ain't old, baby.
Okay, when you compare to the rest, he's got 15 years on them. And then we have our boy Yuri Yudin. He was age 21. This is the man who on January 27th actually turns back due to sciatica pain, which turns out to be the best thing that ever happened to him.
When do you think it was real?
Yeah, so he had a history of health issues.
Okay. Good for you, I guess. Good for you, boy.
He ended up living to 75, which is much longer than any of the rest of these guys do.
What year was this?
This is 59.
Okay.
So they set out on January 27th, and from their journals and the recovered cameras, we know everything was going super, super well in the beginning, obviously except for Mr. Yuri Yudin, who turned back due to the pain. So they're making great time across the 200-mile trek. They're taking lots of notes and photos and just like documenting the whole experience.
They're like on cloud 9.
Right.
Feeling it.
It's the Siberian wilderness. It's a totally desolate area. Like I said, they're in the Ural Mountains. There are some like nomadic tribes, not tribes, but just like people who haven't settled down, who actually have now and are starting communities. But the area they were trekking through is mostly the only inhabitants were the Mansi people.
Mansi?
Yep, Mansi. Okay, so not only were they taking all these notes and photos, but when they would get to like a small established area, they would send telegrams back to their family and friends. And one day the messages just completely stopped.
How long was this supposed to, like, what was their time frame that they were
Their
thinking?
time frame was about 3 weeks.
Okay. Do you hear tippy tappy? Sorry.
Yeah. Little Delilah there.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were supposed to send... so it was supposed to be about 2 weeks. I'm sorry. So they were supposed to send a telegram back to the sports club that sponsored them on the 12th of February. So 15 days.
Okay.
And the telegram never came. Obviously, they're going through the mountains in Siberia. So it's not uncommon for people to get slowed down during this time.
Yeah.
But as time went on and nobody heard from the group, their family became really, really concerned.
Yeah.
So on the 20th of February, I'm going to say, now I'm self-conscious about it.
Why? I said I loved it.
The families had demanded a rescue operation. So it really quickly grew from a volunteer effort to including military, police, planes, helicopters, all searching for the missing 9 people. On February 26th, 1959, their tent was found, and things only get weirder from here.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Let's back up and start with what we do know from the notes and journals that were recovered in the cameras.
Okay.
We do know things were going really well. We know that they got really going into the trek on January 31st. That's when they got outside of the towns. And they arrived at the edge of a mountain pass and started to prepare for the climb.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to start singing the freaking Miley Cyrus song or Hannah Montana. It's the climb.
Please don't. Okay, so Miley Cyrus aside, they also stashed a bunch of excess supplies and food so they could drop some weight for the climb. Not gonna sing.
I really wanted to. I'm sorry.
So that they could use it on like the return trek.
Hold on. Earlier you said something about turn back time, and I bit the shit out of my tongue.
You should.
So I'm trying.
The next day, they begin to move through one of the mountain passes. So what they kind of have to do is like where 2 mountains meet, right? Climb like up between the 2. Mountain pass.
Sure.
They had to do it on a mountain called Kholat Syakhl. This roughly translates to the dead mountain.
Nope.
Should have been their first sign.
Do you know that my husband thinks that he could have done this, and his dream is to climb Mount Everest?
I mean, at this point, like I feel like anybody can do it. It's such you just have to have $50,000 and like thousands of people flock there now.
Okay, well,
it's like a
this
tourist
is called
trap.
the Dead Mountain.
Yeah, in the Siberian wilderness. Good luck, Aaron. So, like I said, their plans to trek over the pass. Then they were going to camp on its opposite side, where the mountain would protect them from incoming bad weather. It was supposed to get really snowy, really high wind. We know at some point they got lost in the low visibility. they deviated west and went further up the mountain. And when they realized their mistake...
This is more than camping. You asked me if I've been camping.
It's a little more.
I'm more likely to somehow become best friends with Miley Cyrus than do any of this and survive.
So when they realized... Well, you remember, these guys are like... They are all certified in this. Like, this should have been nothing.
Only level 2.
Level 3 is as high as you can go.
I know, I'm just kidding.
So when they realize their mistake, though, Igor kind of leads the group to camp there instead of heading back down the mountain.
So he's trying to be like...
So he didn't want them to lose the time and the elevation they gained.
Okay.
And says, like, basically, hey, we should just camp here for the night and find our way in the morning when the visibility is going to be better.
So he's trying to be smart.
Yes.
Okay.
What we also know is that the weather got worse. There was high winds, extremely low visibility, and temperatures, I was going to say up to, but I guess it's better to say down to -30. So what they do, so they're on a slope that's about a 20-degree slope on this mountain pass. They cut a 90-degree angle so they have a flat surface to pitch their tent in, so that the upside of the mountain would protect them.
Kind of blocks. Okay.
Yep. This is where the journal entries and the photographs end. So back to the search party. What did they find on the 27th of February?
Yep.
Spoiler alert, it's not great.
Nope.
They find the badly damaged tent on the side of Kholat Syakhl.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the tent is still the prepared dinner.
I'm sorry. I do know all this is coming back to me, and this is so... Ooh!
All 9 of their cold weather gear. Outside of the tent, their boots, skis, and ski poles are all neatly stacked.
No.
Not only stacked, but the skis and the ski poles are upright. That is important. Remember that. None of the hikers, though, are found immediately. Their tent is also cut in multiple places, but one of the volunteers who were helping the search was a seamstress, and she identifies the patterns of the cuts, seeing that they were cut from the inside out, not the outside in. Okay, what were you going to say?
If you have to kind of pause and like backtrack for a second, because I don't know if people, this doesn't make sense. Their food was prepared, ready to be eaten, and not. Their skis and hiking gear are still there. Their cold weather gear is there. And there's slits in the tent from the inside, but nobody is seemingly anywhere to be found or harmed or dragging out.
So it would make you think that they had to make a hasty escape, right?
But no, because what hasty escape makes me cut? No, what?
Well, hasty escape, yeah. You'd leave your food, all your cold weather gear.
Yeah, but I'm not
had to get
cut
out.
Slits into my tent.
So that's how they got out.
Are they that big?
No, the slits. They cut themselves out of the tent to escape out of it. They didn't even go out the doorway.
Okay, I guess I didn't know that detail. I thought it was just there were just slits in there.
No.
Okay,
cut
so
out.
they were
we got to get the F out. So and the hole in the tent looks down the mountain, right? So they're down the slope. Okay,
it's a Yeti.
Save that. The weird thing is they're making a hasty escape. However, there's 9 sets of footprints, uniform in an orderly fashion. So it's in the snow.
9.
Well, there was only 9 people. One turned back early.
But if
9 sets of footprints.
Right. Okay. Am I getting too far? Sorry.
No, you're good. Only 9. And they move away in an orderly fashion, not running. So these are preserved in the snow, right? It stayed cold.
So they're more of a walking footprint, not a running pattern, where your footprints would be farther apart. The prints
also show that nobody is wearing boots and that they are likely only in their socks or barefoot. The footprints lead down away from the tent towards some woods, but then disappear in the snowdrifts before it leaves the woods or it gets to the woods.
No.
We have no bodies still until the search party starts to find them. So what they find next on the very edge of the woods is the first 2 hikers. We have the bodies of Krivanashenko and Doroshenko. Their remains are found under a large cedar tree. They are dressed only in their underwear, and they're not wearing shoes at all. Above them in the tree is a bunch of broken branches. Also in that tree are scraps of clothing and pieces of their flesh. Both Krivanashenko and Doroshenko have some odd injuries themselves. They have bruises all over their bodies, some odd discoloration. Their hands are bruised, and I could find it only described as brutalized. In fact, hold on to it. We just got to get through this group, and then I'll let you go. Doroshenko has a huge chunk of flesh missing from his hand. Hand. Okay. It's found in his mouth, and both of them have burns in odd places on their bodies. Now, the one thing I will say about the burns is there was the remains of a small campfire found near them. All right, what do you got for me so far?
I was thinking like your hands could be bruised and like your flesh and maybe whatever clothing could be in the tree because you were desperately climbing up the fucking tree. Like you are like, I gotta get up there. Like your hands are gonna be effed up. I do now remember vaguely about the flesh of his hand in his mouth. I don't fucking understand that. The only thing I can think of is if you were trying to desperately cover yourself to be quiet, that you'd be like biting your, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
here's the thing is, and this, you're kind of spot on, is we're going to get into some of the theories, and really similar to episode 36 with the Orang Medan. Mm-hmm. Nothing fully explains it, but you can explain away every piece somehow.
Yes. So you can have, yes. So there's so many things that we can explain to make sense, or we can poke holes in these. Yes.
So let me get through all the group, and then we're going to come back to the injuries, and we'll talk about them. The next bodies are found, actually, so if you're standing by the woods now and you're looking back up at the tent, the three are found as if they decided from meeting at the edge of the woods that they're going to go back to the tent.
So they're facing back towards the tent. Like
each
walking.
of them are in a different spot along the way that would suggest they were going back to the tent.
Okay.
So we have Igor Dyatlov, we have Kolmogorova, and Slobodin.
Okay.
So these, they died in poses that made it look like they were in a lot of pain. However, other than being scratched and bruised, and Slobodin having a small fracture in his skull, there's no sign of injury that should have
killed them,
the men or women.
This is like the Orang Medan.
Okay. 2 months later, 2 full months. So this is the end of February. In May 1959, the other 4 bodies are finally found.
Now, is this because of like weather constrictions and things like that? Okay.
So this area does thaw out a lot.
Yeah.
They were found.
And I'm sorry, this is all now in the woods. Because they ran to...
The first 2 are at the very edge of the woods.
Edge, yes.
The next 3 that we talked about, they are out of the woods and heading back towards the tent.
Oh, right. They're out.
These 4 would be further into the wood.
Okay.
So they were found under what would have been about 10 feet of snow, much further into the woods. So, and they kind of posit like, whatever happened underneath this tree, some of them went back to the tent, others went deeper into the woods. These ones may be going back for that cache of supplies that were left.
Okay.
3 out of the 4 of them were dressed better than anybody else, possibly stealing some clothes from their fallen friends.
Oh.
But all 4 of them had some really weird injuries. So Brignoles has major skull damage. When we say that, the investigators basically said there is no amount of human force that could have caused these damage. Dubinina and Zolotaryov, remember, he's our veteran. They have such bad internal injuries that their chest cavities were basically destroyed.
Oh my God.
One of the investigators said that it looked like they were in a high-speed car wreck.
Wow.
Kolovetov has so many fractures, and one of like the bones in his arm is basically like mush. Even further weird, Dubinina is missing her tongue, her eyes, part of her lips, and a portion of her skull. Kolovetov is missing his eyes and his eyebrows. Okay.
Okay, when you say missing eyebrows, wait, are you saying they're like shaved off or they're literally ripped off?
They're gone. Flesh gone.
So fucking
So we've got 9 super experienced hikers heading out into the Siberian wilderness. We found their abandoned camp that looks like they fearfully cut their way out, but then orderly marched away from it. 9 bodies.
The survivor's guilt that sciatica guy has.
Oh my God.
Lord.
9 bodies, got 3 different areas. No one's wearing their boots. 2 of the bodies are naked with their hands mangled and have the burns in weird places. Bit off a chunk of their own flesh. 3 of the bodies, much less injury, for some reason decide to go back to the camp. 4 more with crushed bones and organs Skulls broken beyond the force, like I said, a human could produce, and they're literally missing half their faces. Forgot to tell you this point. Their clothing was, two of them, their clothing tested positive for radioactivity, like super radioactive, and those two, along with the two who were found under the tree, had patches of skin that were strangely tan, or all of their skin had changed to a strange color. So I'm going to ask you now, what the hell happened on this mountain?
We're in Russia. What's their equivalent to like a skinwalker or something? Like but it's not a skinwalker because they don't.
Do you want to hear what the public description was?
Satanic cults.
So remember, we are in the Soviet Union in the 60s, basically.
Welcome to the 60s.
59, whatever. So as the investigation was carried out, the site was sanctioned off by the government. Most of the evidence was destroyed. The files that were kept were sent to a secret archive. And the official conclusion is the cause of death was due to a compelling natural force, and there is an absence of a guilty party. People did not like this explanation, especially the families.
Why would anybody be like, yep, that makes sense to me, and I'm going to accept that.
Compelling natural force. So this was 59. That was, 63 years ago? We don't even have time to get into all the theories. So I want to start with the most out there to the most scientific. If you haven't listened to episode 36, go back and listen to it with the Orang Madan, because there's a lot of really weird similarities.
Yeah.
So the very first one, most out there, we have the Siberian Yeti. Most people immediately jump to the conclusion that it's some cryptid, right?
Listen, I thought that at first, but then when you started giving me the details and I'm like, no.
Here's reasons why it could be.
No.
Just stop. Because this is the thing. Not one of these theories you're going to accept, because not one of them accounts for everything. On the cameras, one of the last photos that was taken showed a huge hulking person or man-like figure standing by a tree. The campers must have heard something. Maybe they thought they were being stalked, cut their way out of the tent, trying to escape a beast, which slowly picks off the group. And when it got to the last ones, it really had some fun. Okay? I found the picture. Not that compelling. It literally just looks like a taller member of the group is just kind of out of focus. Also, like you were going to say, if it was a Yeti, why are only 4 completely mangled and there's the orderly footprints? Yeah.
So before, when you were like, there's only the 9 sets of footprints, they're orderly, whatever. That's why I was like, wait, what? But that's crazy, because something was supposedly, or like it seemingly looked like somebody was chasing them or something was chasing them.
The orderly footprints are the thing that put most of these theories to rest.
But here's the thing. Why would a Yeti do this? And no.
I don't know the motives of Yetis.
No, a Yeti's not just gonna rip out a tongue, rip out some eyebrows, and then just be like, bye. Like, I'm not even being funny. That's just ignorant to me. Like, I don't, if we're gonna say Yetis are just like animals or whatever, they're either going to mangle you or just leave you alone because they're trying to live a peaceful life. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm being realistic here.
Okay. Theory number 2, we're gonna go back to our boy Semyon, our KGB possible guy.
Okay.
Remember, he was added last minute. He's the much older veteran.
Mm-hmm.
We already talked about his time in the war, and his files have a lot of information missing, which kind of make it look like he could have been KGB or a spy. So why did the university or the institute add him last minute? One of the theories is that the entire trek was a possible cover-up for a secret Soviet mission to head into the Ural Mountains and find a CIA encampment rumored to be in the Siberian wilderness at the time.
Yeah,
Some people think this could also explain the radioactive clothes, and that they brought these radioactive clothes as extras with them, and that they were supposed to pretend they were students, run into the CIA, and offer them their extra warm clothes to help them survive. Theory goes on to say that CIA found them first, figured out they were KGB, and...
Do you want to explain what KGB is in case people don't know?
Yes, I do. The KGB, and I'm not even going to try to say the words that it stands for, but they're like a secret police intelligence agency.
Essentially, The CIA.
The CIA but like,
Kind of.
they play dirty, right?
This is Russia.
The Russian version of the CIA. Okay. Further proof of this, right? The government locked down the original campsite, destroys all the evidence, and puts everything else in a secret archive. Why would they be so invested in covering it up? I see your face, and we're going to go into the holes of this theory now, right? 4 of the people could have been killed by CIA because they were badly damaged, but it was forced that humans couldn't even...
Right.
Everyone else is injured in ways you would never think is homicide, which is like typical spy shit.
I guess.
But like, if they came upon some spy settlement or the CIA came upon them, right? Like, you would think they would basically just be shot in the head in their tent. They wouldn't be brutalized in this way.
Well, and it's not even like... I'm sorry, but like, who the fuck is gonna like rip off your eyebrows? That's so stupid.
Okay, our next one, weapons testing. So this area of the Ural Mountains, the Russians actually did do atomic weapon testing. And some people theorize that the hikers were accidentally subjected to one of the tests.
Okay.
Or just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Could explain the radioactive clothes.
Yes.
Could explain, based on blast area, right? Why it's like terrible injuries, mid injuries, and then less bad injuries as you went away from each other.
No, it cannot explain that.
It could. I'm given the coulds.
No.
Right?
No.
Here's the thing, though. It's only 2 of them tested positive for radioactive clothes. None of the rest of the area tested positive for radioactivity. And I found a different explanation for the radioactive clothes in all of this.
Okay, give it to me.
The institute itself was heavily invested in atomic energy, and 2 of our hikers actually worked for one of the energy plants that had a meltdown. Not totally dissimilar to Chernobyl, but not nearly as bad. And they were on the cleanup crew. So they could have been radioactive the whole time.
Right, and just didn't even realize.
So a lot of people, though, really hold on to this one because many locals in the area saw glowing lights on the mountain that night, glowing orbs of lights on the same mountain that our hikers were on.
Don't puckwudgies present themselves? Puckwudgies present themselves as a glowing orb.
But
they don't kill people, do they? Puckwudgies don't kill. Maybe they do.
I've never even heard of them before.
So it's a skinwalker.
Or aliens, baby.
No, I'm not down with the aliens because I just don't.
Aliens, though, remember that letter in the Ring Madame episode about the fiery balls of light that were.
But aliens aren't messy.
And it's not going to explain their missing tongues and eyes.
No, they're not messy like that.
The other thing is weather patterns on this mountain have been known to create ball lightning, which is literally plasma orbs that would glow at night and travel along electromagnetic fields. Now, that could also kind of be an explanation, but like it would explain the burns and maybe the 3 who died on the way back to the camp, but it doesn't explain anything else. Now, we're going to get away from some of the crazy ones and into some scientific stuff, though, that I think is really interesting.
Okay.
We're going to talk about katabatic winds and infrasound.
Whatever you tell me, it's not going to explain why somebody's tongue and eyebrows are ripped off, so.
It will.
No.
Far as the scientific ones go, katabatic winds are rare and violent events causing gale force
Spell
winds.
that? Katabatic?
Katabatic.
Okay. Katabatic.
Katabatic. Basically hurricane force swirling winds that have been noted on Dead Mountain before.
Okay.
These picking up in already poor conditions would have made it so that the hikers could not have stayed in that tent. On the open slope with no other coverage. Remember, they only have snow to the back of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
And they blocked from the wind. Now the winds are swirling. So they have 3 sides of the tent that are just open to the elements. So they could have cut their way out, looked for cover, gotten separated, and each perished, right?
Mm-hmm.
So could explain why 3 went back to the tent after they got separated. The first 2, this could explain it as well. It would have gotten much colder than the negative 30 degrees. So they could have burned themselves getting way too close to the fire to warm themselves up. And the gentleman who was bit his hand could have lost so much feeling. He was trying to see if he had any feeling left in his hand and just not even realize went through it. Still doesn't explain the other 4. The only thing I could find that fit into this theory is that they dug a shelter into the ground. So they weren't buried under 10 feet of snow. They dug into it to try to wait out the storm and then were crushed. Still doesn't explain why you'd cut your way out and then walk orderly and leave your cold gear behind, but whatever. But then we add in another kind of wind called a Kármán vortex street.
Ooh, whatever, anything with a vortex, I'm down. Done, not down, down, done.
This not only produces the high winds, Kármán vortexes can produce what's called infrasound. So it's kind of like infrared. We can't see it. You can't hear it. But it's a specific vibration and noise known to cause panic attacks and delusions in humans.
Ew.
Now you have people who are confused and distressed that would have explained why they cut their way out.
How
why they were kind of going every which
likely
way.
or often, though, is that?
It's something that's been noted, I guess, in the area, so it's very possible. They had the right conditions to create this infrasound. Now, I know I said we were going in the scientific area. We're going to go back to cryptids for a second. There's a rumor on this mountain, on the Dead Mountain, of another type of cryptid or mythical creature that screams had the power to kill men. So remember, we have the Mansi people.
Yes.
Who are traditional nomadic.
Yep.
So a lot of people think the infrasound and this screaming banshee type of thing are the same thing. The Mansi people may have lost lives during these events, but the sounds they're hearing from the wind, they attribute to this mythical creature.
Okay.
Still, though.
What is the creature called?
So that's the thing, is the only place I saw this was in the show Unexplained with William Shatner. He never names it, and I could not find this anywhere online.
Interesting.
Right? So our very last one is an avalanche, but not the avalanche you have in your mind. So, typical avalanche, right?
Yep.
Would have taken out the entire tent, the ski poles and everything would not have been standing.
And I would have kept my eyebrows.
Really recently, and this has actually been the theory that's taken over as like the most accepted. Frozen 2 had really great animation.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point in the show, they showed the animation for a slab avalanche. An investigator of the Dyatlov Pass who was watching Frozen came up with this
Frozen
theory.
2?
Frozen 2, I think, is what it was.
Okay, because I don't remember that Frozen one.
They didn't call it by that, but basically, a slab avalanche isn't like the whole side of a mountain coming down, right? If you think so, and it needs at least 20-degree slope, which is what they were on.
Okay.
A square area that's been weakened at the bottom. Imagine you have a bunch of plates on a table that's tilted, right? Because of all the weight of all the plates, they all stay put. But if you move one of those plates, now they're going to start to slide down.
Okay.
So instead of this crushing down the mountain, where they cut into that slope would have let a middle section of snow, that highly compacted snow, start to slide on top of the ground, but below the freshly powdered snow and push into their tent. They think it's typical avalanche. They leave as quickly as they can. Okay,
so they cut themselves out. They're in a little formation.
They veer off to the woods because it's not a huge avalanche.
Why do I have no clothes on?
I told you that nothing is going to give you a pretty
I'm seeing what you're going to tell me.
So it would explain why they were able to orderly get away, because it's a more slow-moving piece because it was weakened where they cut the snow away.
Okay.
It's the condensed snow in the middle. Now, the 4 who were found completely crushed, they're found further down the mountain.
Okay.
Slab avalanches typically cause chain reactions.
And they were found later, right? So the snow would have melted.
Under 10 feet of snow.
Okay.
Yep. Now, about 2 feet underneath of them was a running creek that never froze. So there's all the snow piled on top of that creek.
Okay.
So that would have been another area prone to these slab avalanches because they already have movement and lubrication under there. So once it started up higher and got to them, they would have been crushed in the pit that they created. And then people say that their missing body parts were maybe due to animals in the area.
The eyebrows?
And the snow was super, super heavy in the slabs, which could have maybe crushed their bodies.
I will never, ever, ever get over the eyebrows.
None of it, though. So even that's probably likely. It still doesn't explain the radioactive clothes. Doesn't here I literally next to my notes doesn't explain the eyebrows, tongues, or eyes.
Oh yeah, the eyes. No,
none of those. Even if it was like this weird chain reaction avalanche, that's not your typical avalanche. how are the boots and the ski poles and the skis still up? Even though the
because
tent
they're
is half
upright
destroyed?
perfectly.
Yes.
I know what it is.
What is it?
Pukwudgies.
Okay, well, we have to do an episode on that because I've never even heard of that.
Okay, pukwudgies are okay. Basically, they lure their victims to their deaths. They can present themselves as balls of light, and they usually kill, attack, whatever, with like small knives or little spears. So they could jab your little eyes out, cut your eyebrows, cut off your tongue, and they're like little like they're on my list to do, but I'm trying to think of like what they.
Well, don't spoil too much of it.
They look like a deranged hedgehog.
Interesting.
It's a pukwudgie.
So personally, I think it's probably a mixture of most of what we talked about.
You know what? I was going to say that because you said that radioactive is probably because they worked at the plant. Something freaked them out, a pukwudgie. They ran. Maybe there was
I think like the infrasound holds true, right? Because that would explain why they went in different areas. It's also -30, so hypothermia and
delusion,
altitude sickness. So especially with the two that were found in their underwear, you do have what's called paradoxical undressing, which is like people who are severely hypothermic start to feel really hot.
Where did their actual clothes go? I know there were shreds in the tree, but that's not all of their clothes.
Some was found on, what's her name?
Can't remember. It was a pretty name.
Zenaida. But there's also, I didn't even cover this. So next to her, like in the pit where like the 4 were found, there's like a half a pair of pants and a half a sweater that were just torn in half too.
Oh, well, you did mention that you thought that they maybe stole the clothes of the others.
You wouldn't cut a sweater in half.
No, you'd be layering.
It just like, so like maybe it's part of like the infrasound and altitude sickness makes them go weird. And like they're seeing these glowing orbs of lights that could have been weapons or aliens or pukwudgies or whatever. Like whatever happened to them though, I think like it's one of those things. It's truly unexplainable. We'll never know. But like, why did the government go to shut it down so hard?
Because there's no answer. People go
I don't know.
wild and they get a little deranged and they get like when you don't have a reason for something, people go crazy and they go even more I mean if they can't figure it out.
Here's some more for you.
Oh my
God. To the very end. Some of the bodies have been exhumed over time, and some of them there's DNA testing done around the funerals and stuff that's been released. And there are people who argue.
Did they do autopsies?
So I know Zanina. Is it Zanina?
Mm-hmm.
Zenaida.
That's a pretty
Zenaida and Dubinina. Their bodies were exhumed at one point, and it like there's so much compelling evidence.
But I'm saying like right away at first they didn't have autopsies done on these bodies.
I don't know.
That's
well, no, they did because there was investigators who were talking about human force couldn't do this or that.
Oh
they did.
Yeah.
There was one gentleman who he was really young at the time, but for some reason was like going to all their funerals and like would see like the patches of skin that looked weird and stuff. And he's like got his own theories. But what I was gonna say is there's a couple of them whose their DNA evidence. Their DNA is said to not even match their family now. So who's buried in their spots doesn't even match the DNA of the people they should be.
Ew. What?
Like every time you think you have like a theory that explains it, there's something else that comes up that's just like you can't and just like the ship, we will never know what truly happened.
That's the worst part.
I just wish like one of them had taken some photos or notes or something.
So you kind of do collectively think, or you think it's like collectively a couple of the things ish?
I think for sure the weather, like the either altitude sickness or the infrasound or whatever. So another thing with the infrasound, that can not only cause the panic attacks, but it causes pressure changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you push your finger on your eye, you start to see like a shadow.
Yeah.
So it could have caused them to start seeing things in their peripherals. Mix that with altitude sickness, where you're going to start seeing hallucinations.
Mm-hmm.
That could have caused them to cut their way out of the tent. They notice there's no danger. Then they need to save themselves. It's just, whatever it was, it had to be just so sad. Because like those first 2 that went down under the tree, everyone else was like, what do we do from here? Like, we're not going to survive here. We can't get this fire going. It's just so sad, but so weird.
No, it's pukwudgies.
All right. Kara's going with pukwudgies. I'm going with a mixture of like 18 different things. We didn't even cover all the theories.
I'm sure.
Go and look for yourselves. There's so much more, but let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
What happened to the hikers of the Dyatlov Pass? And would you now go play the game where you can go hike and camp in all the same trek that they went on? There are memorials for them along the way. You can still see the cedar tree with its broken branches.
Wait, so when you say a game, it's not an actual game. You can just go. You physically go
like,
on this trail.
There's like this Polish game to like go on the same trip and like go to the places where each of the bodies.
Wait, I'm sorry. If you're saying a game, is it a board game, a video game, or you actually go?
Oh no, you actually go.
Okay.
I guess it's more of a challenge.
Okay, because I thought you meant like a game, like a video game.
No.
That's so morbid. But you're saying to just actually go and you can see.
Retrace the same footprints. Yeah.
Yeah, I would maybe do that. I'm not gonna play a game about their death.
There we go. That is the story of the Dyatlov Pass.
Good job.
And the 9 hikers.
Now I'm gonna not sleep because I'm gonna be thinking and thinking and thinking. Okay. Good job.
Thank you. I tried to keep it short, but I go long as always.
It's fine. We love it. Cool. Well, with that, love us. Talk to us on social media. Share us with a friend or two.
Write in your own stories of Yetis on the mountains.
Yes, or aliens, or puckwudgies, or ghosts, or anything bizarre that's happened to you. I don't even care. Maybe your grandma was weird. Tell me.
Yeah, weird grandma. I want weird grandma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's really all I have. But, most importantly, creep it real, you oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.